Almost ready? Before I call us to order, does everybody have a agenda, a little packet? It's got your agenda and reports in it, so we'll be referring to that as well as having things up on the screen there. Matt's going to switch us over for just a sec. Those who are sitting over on the side, Brittany, Nancy, Steve, Virginia, we're going to be speaking from here. So if you feel the need to see us, which is entirely your decision, you might want to just shift a little bit. But just so you know, the people who are speaking will speak from up here, and then when we have question and answer, we'll come down to the floor as well. Anybody else in the hallway hoping to come to our meeting? Yes, good. Come in. Excellent. Well, welcome everybody to the delayed but still very important annual meeting. I would entertain a motion to open the meeting. Second? All in favor? Aye, thank you very much. The meeting is now opened. We'll start with an opening prayer. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, ruler of all things in heaven and earth, hear our prayers for this parish family. Strengthen the faithful, arouse the careless, and restore the penitent. Grant us all things necessary for our common life, and bring us all to be of one heart and mind within your holy church, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Excellent. Well, I will turn it over now to Joanne Warden for the Senior Warden's address.
Good morning. My name is Joanne Short. Welcome to the 2025 annual meeting. I'm so thrilled you're all here. And for those of you online, good morning. So this past year, we had wonderful, wonderful challenges. And they were all positive, but challenges nonetheless. So serving on the vestry has allowed me insight into all the wonderful generosity that goes on every day at Christ in St. Luke's. Generosity of financial gifts, yes, and we'll hear about that shortly, but generosity of time and certainly of talent, just so much talent. This past year has been one of extraordinary growth and success. Refinement, growth, and momentum. From construction to completion, spaces have been refined to fully serve our mission. The staff growing to support that expansion and to keep us relevant. The annual stewardship, the investments, and our endowments, all a strong upward trajectory. Holy listening campaign results, guiding clear, intentional future direction. Ministries expanding in number, structure, and engagement, strengthening their stability and sustainability. Growth brings both blessing and challenge. Our growth sets us apart from many churches nationwide. Think about that. Think about all of your friends that you know that go to churches that are maybe on a big day the size of our 8 o'clock service. We don't have that problem, but we are growing very quickly, and so we have to be able to keep up with that. So with that growth comes new demands: staff capacity, funding, spacing challenges, which we've heard about all year. Our dedicated staff have carried this growth with creativity and commitment, often at an unsustainable pace. Addressing these growth stress points will be a top priority in the coming year. So clarifying our mission and focus. In August, the vestry gathered for a full-day retreat to set strategy for our mission, vision, and values, building on holy listening, the 5 core focus areas that now guide our identity and programs. These priorities shape our outreach and invite deeper community connection. Our missional actions and priorities include homelessness and food insecurity, education, environment, and health. Gratitude and leadership for the future. We are in good hands with our clergy, our dedicated staff, faithful volunteers guiding us into 2026 and beyond. We give a heartfelt thanks to our vestry members rotating off for their wisdom and their service. With gratitude to Michelle Prescott, who is with us this morning, Carolyn Moneymaker, who could not be with us this morning, Joe Painter, unfortunately could not be with us this morning, and Wiley Grandy, our junior warden, also not with us this morning. It's what happens when you postpone it twice. They've all contributed wisely and have left a positive impact for vestries to come. Okay, so the next item of business is the election of new vestry members, some of whom are also not here this morning. The outgoing vestry members will provide oversight to the election process. Michelle, it's all on you, okay? As we received no nominations by earlier deadline, the nominations are closed and will be presented as a slate. We will proceed to the election of vestry nominees as presented. Jamie Lewis, where's Jamie? Okay, hi Jamie. Margaret Moore, I think she's in Paris actually. Ruth Robinson, is Ruth here? Ah, there she is, good morning Ruth. And Rick Strauss. There he is, I saw him earlier. I move these nominees be approved for vestry membership. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion carries and the nominees are elected. Congratulations. I want to thank the nominating committee and the newly elected vestry members for their willingness to serve. First order of business, done.
Thank you, Joanne, and thank you to you all. We'll roll right along with the rector's report here, which for posterity is in your packet. But I would invite you not to read along while I read it, because I may have changed some words or I may mess up, and you would know. So I'd prefer if you didn't. When you're graduating seminary and preparing to apply for your first job as a priest, you have to fill out something called the Office of Transition Ministry Portfolio, or the OTM profile. This is meant to be a single clearinghouse for all your materials, your resume, your references, your sermons, and your some answers to some short answer questions. And right at the top of the profile, you have to put a single sentence, which is your encapsulation of your understanding of your call to ministry. Like, what are you doing? What's the point? This is your own personal priestly mission statement. And mine's not great, but it's true. And it's true enough to have remained at the top of that profile for the 10.5 years since I first wrote it. And it reads as follows: to draw people into deeper relationship with God through Jesus Christ, so that their lives and the lives of those around them may be transformed by the working of the Holy Spirit, thus making the world a more just and loving place. This is what it's all about for me, and you can hear in that sentence the echoes of the come, see, go, be rhythm that we have been highlighting this year. The problem, though, with mission statements, as you know, in ministry or any other organization, is they often remain disembodied words on a page which one can point to in theory but not necessarily in practice. However, in reflecting on the past year here at Christ in St. Luke's, my overwhelming emotion has been one of supreme wonder and gratitude, because examples of this aspirational hope for ministry are happening all over the place. People are developing deeper relationships with God through Jesus Christ, and it is transforming their lives and the lives of those around them, and is helping, I'd like to think, to make this world a more just and loving place. We've talked a good deal over the past few years, really, and Joanne just mentioned it as well, about our significant growth in the parish. And the hard numbers are in these pages for you to observe, and they will bear that out. But for me, the growth that is even more exciting is this spiritual growth that is borne out in lives which look different than they did before, because of what God is working in those lives ever more powerfully. It's conversations with people who say, I know I'm a grown-up, but I want to be baptized. It's people who say, I'm retired. I want to do more for the church. Do you have any suggestions? It's people who knock on my door and say, I think I might be feeling called to ordain ministry. Help! It's in groups that form around an idea or an interest which generate then consistent, meaningful gatherings. Think of our Arts Guild, which has brought beauty and meaning into our lives of faith in new and wonderful ways. Think of that prayer blanket ministry, which I just mentioned this morning, which has blossomed so fruitfully that they were churning out too many blankets for us alone, and so took it upon themselves to reach out to one of our other missional partners, the Friends of Foster Care, to offer a bit of warmth and love to babies born in difficult circumstances. It's an archive guild, a garden guild, or a prayer guild, all of whom have been established in the past year and are flourishing. It's pub clubs and seasoned spirits and potluck suppers where people want to actually be in each other's company and build up the body of Christ. It's parishioners who want to spend a year becoming pilgrims. It's in standing room only flower arranging classes or cross-generational altar guild teams. It's kids who can't wait to come to church, and it's parents who want to linger around the playground while they play. It's in the new and increased ways that we are reaching out to our community to offer ourselves as partners in the work of transforming the world. A lunch ministry with more volunteers than you can count, making gourmet meals for those for whom a hot meal is not just a blessing but a lifeline. A winter shelter week full of volunteers. It's 6 pallets worth of groceries to go to the food bank, or over 100 kids who got presents this Christmas, or contributions to Kenya. I don't have the time to name all of the ways that this kind of growth is happening, so I apologize if I left out your example. But my point is, it is evident all over this place, and I believe all of it points to the work of the Holy Spirit, of hearts and lives growing closer to God and being changed. And this brings me joy beyond measure, because it's really happening. My hope for what ministry is flourishing, and nothing gives me greater satisfaction as a priest. And so it is for this kind of growth, above all else, that I give most humble and hearty thanks, and say once again what a privilege and blessing it is to me to serve as your rector. So thank you. I want to take a moment now to tell you about how I hope we will continue in that kind of growth, that of lives and thus the world transformed. Now, Joanne mentioned this, but I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper so that we can be as clear as possible. As was made known coming out of our Holy Listening campaign a year ago, we have a direction in which we want to move as a parish when it comes to some of our missional priorities. Our worship and our music and our prayer life will remain the bedrock of everything we do, as will many of the current ministries, which are making us such a spiritually vital community. But we want to be more active and more organized in our faith in action ministries, particularly in the identified areas, as we said, of homelessness and food insecurity, education, health, and environmental stewardship. So thank you, Matt, for this slide here. Now, to do that, we are going to establish a leadership team in charge of each of these areas. And for some, like the environmental stewardship team, this already exists in our Caring for Creation ministry. But we want each of these areas to have a team that's going to carry this work forward. And each of those teams will be asked to help us do 4 things. Practice what we preach. Means come up with ways for us in our parish programs to take meaningful part in this particular area. Be a good partner. Determine who in the community is already doing this work and how we might effectively partner with them. Do it at home. That's facilitating parishioners participating in these causes in their own lives, whatever that might look like. And then be a leader. Seek opportunities to advocate or create positive change in this area at the broad scale. So those are the 4 points, and these goals will be supplemented by some specific examples and ideas to get the team started. And these were created by your vestry, not only these 4 goals, but some of these ideas to guide these groups on their way. And once formed, they will be tasked with creating a plan for how our parish can meet these goals and thus take action or continue to take action in these different areas. And to coordinate across all these different focus areas, the heads of each of these committees will meet regularly as a group to think how they might work together on initiatives which touch on more than one of these areas, as so many of them do. Our hope is that this will establish faith in action as an even more robust arm of our parish's life. Next slide, Matt. On par with all the other wonderful aspects of this family of faith, like our music and liturgy, our pastoral care and fellowship, our formation offerings, and our general operations as a church. So this is the larger structure. This here is who we are and what we do. And the first slide was showing you a little bit of a breakdown of how we hope the Faith in Action ministries will be organized as a part of that larger whole. This is what I meant when I talked at the beginning of this fall about an even greater pivot to the go and be part of our theme. And it is my hope that you, not just you here, but you watching online and those who didn't stay, will be willing to put yourselves forward and help us build this together, so that even more ways may emerge for us to encounter Jesus Christ and to grow in relationship with God through loving service, allowing our lives to be changed and, through us, the world. For that is, after all, what it's all about. Thank you very much. All right, a few thank yous that I'd like to offer up just briefly before I turn it over and we begin or launch into our financial reports. The first is, again, to our outgoing vestry members, Michelle Prescott. And Michelle, because you are here, not just because you are here, but we have a little gift for you. So would you stand? And I can't see our little gifts, but I know they're over there. Louisa, do you have them there? Thank you. Michelle, would you come forward so we could thank you for your 3 hard years of service for us? Thank you very much. Why don't we give Michelle a round of applause? Wiley and Carol, this is a prayer plant for you, Michelle, as well as a little card. So enjoy that. Thank you. And Wiley, Carolyn, and Joe, who can't be here because of the rescheduled date, have prayer plants as well. So don't worry, they are not left out. I want to take a moment and very clearly and loudly thank our staff some of whom are able to be here, but not all of whom. But I'm going to read their names, and if you are here, would you stand, and then we might be able to thank you as well. To Father Jared, to Kevin, Kathy, Rachel, Steve, Marge, Michelle, David, Vince, and Will, all of whom are here, some of whom are here. Could we give them a round of applause? We truly do have a remarkable staff team that has grown with a few new faces in the last few months. So I want to introduce to you and also give you a chance to welcome Matt Davis, our new Director of Communications. They're doing our slides. And to Luisa Vasquez Lopez, who is our new Chief Operating Officer. So welcome, Luisa. One of the really exciting things is that I get to do is come and work with these people every day, because they really have, all of them, those who are previous staff members and the new ones as well, are so fully committed to this work and give of their many talents to this work already, even our new folks jumping in with both feet to help us grow and thrive as a community. So I hope you appreciate just what a fantastic staff we have here at Christ in St. Luke's. I also want to exhort you to read their reports. Many of them wrote reports that are in this packet. We're not going to read them through for you, because we're going to trust you to do that yourself, but that gives you the full picture of life at this parish. Some of the programs in youth and family and children's ministry, the wonderful music offerings that we have. Steve put together a wonderful report on all the progress that we've made in our Buildings and Grounds Committee. All that stuff is really important information for you to have. So I want to commend that to you very clearly to get that full picture of who we are and what we do. And this being a business meeting, we're going to be changing our focus now to some of the more business aspects of the church. So in addition to a wonderful staff, we are also blessed with a wonderful treasurer, Maria Booth, who's going to come forward and tell you a little bit about the financial reports. So thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Father Noah, and good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see you, especially after 2 thwarted attempts at doing this past month. I would like to begin this afternoon by expressing my deep gratitude for the generosity of this parish in its financial support of the church's operations, both administrative and missional. Your faithfulness makes my job as treasurer both rewarding and exciting. Our church is able to invest in the growth of both staff and ministries to support our parish and community in truly remarkable ways. We are blessed, and I thank each of you for that. Today, I would like to provide a recap of our financials for 2025, and you can find the end-of-year reports starting on page 13 in your packet. My remarks are also printed there, but please don't follow along any more than you followed along with Father Noah's in case I mess up. Overall revenues came in slightly below expectations. We budgeted total revenues of $1.67 million, and our actual revenues totaled about $1.64 million, a shortfall of roughly $29,500, which is less than 2% of our total budget. You will notice that pledges were budgeted for $1.18 million, which was less than our 2025 stewardship goal of $1.21 million. We typically see 4 to 5% of pledges remain unfulfilled at the end of the year, and our budget accounts for that. This year, a few parishioners notified us during the year that they would be unable to fulfill their pledges for personal reasons, which caused that line to come in even lower than anticipated. On the expense side, we also spent less than planned. Total revenues for 2025 were approximately $1.64 million, compared to a budget of $1.67 million, reflecting savings and careful cost control across several categories. Clergy and staff payroll and benefits finished the year under budget, largely due to the timing of hires and staff transitions. The assistant rector position, budgeted for a full year, remained vacant, and our communications director did not start until October. 2025 was the first full year of using the full square footage of our new spaces, and that usage was reflected in our repairs and maintenance and utilities cost, which came in about $45,000 over budget. Our new geothermal HVAC system was not functioning properly for several months of last year, but that has been resolved and we hope to see some cost savings from that system in 2026. Additionally, congregational care exceeded its planned budget due to the purchase of extra food and materials for fellowship events to try and keep pace with the number of people we were trying to feed at those events. As a result, we ended the year essentially at break even with a very small deficit, which was easily absorbed into our overall position. The reports presented here show that deficit at roughly under $1,000, which was before our business administrator had finalized the books for 2025. We ended up with a deficit of $3,365.28, so a little bit higher than what's reported here, but not by much. Taken together, these results demonstrate strong fiscal oversight throughout the year and leave the church in a stable position as we move into 2025. 2026, thank you, Father Noah. 2025 is done, thank heavens. So I'll move on to our statement of financial position at this time. Total assets at year end were approximately $1.66 million, consisting primarily of cash held in checking and savings accounts, and total liabilities were relatively modest at about $163,000, largely related to payroll withholdings and other short-term obligations. After accounting for these liabilities, total net assets stood at approximately $1.49 million. Of this amount, roughly $499,000 is held in restricted funds, including capital, outreach, music, and other designated funds, while the remainder supports the general operating fund. Overall, this statement reflects strong liquidity, manageable liabilities, and healthy reserves, providing a stable foundation as we enter 2026. I would have turned it over to Joe Painter at this time to give us an update on our stewardship campaign. He has been an excellent chair for that campaign this past year, the year before. He's not able to join us today, so in his absence, I'm going to present his report on our stewardship. The 2026 stewardship campaign achieved record results despite challenging economic conditions and an extended government shutdown. In total, 320 families pledged $1,301,185.71 toward the operating budget, including contributions from 55 new donors and increased pledges from 127 existing contributors compared to last year. These figures reflect more than financial commitments. They signify a strong endorsement of our church's vision, mission, and ministries, and the work God is doing in our community. They represent a vibrancy in our church felt every Sunday, and they represent trust that they will be used wisely and effectively to bring about impact. On Joe's behalf, I sincerely thank each individual who has shared their financial commitment for the upcoming year. Your generosity and steadfast support are deeply appreciated. I would also like to acknowledge the efforts of the team members who wrote thank you notes and called fellow parishioners to support our campaign. If you're here, please stand so that we can recognize you. These individuals include Michael Belka, Sarah Caro, Tulip Caro, Chris Green, Robert Jones, Steve Jones, Bill Moore, Nancy Minguez, David Phillips, Warren Richard, BJ Taylor, and Tracy White. Thank you all so much for your help. Special recognition is due to Judy Belka, Michelle Sturgis, our business administrator, and Father Noah Van Niel for their exceptional leadership and organization, which has been instrumental in the success of this campaign. Thank you all very much. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Father Noah for a little bit of an update on our endowments.
Thank you, Maria. So I just want to be clear that that number that Maria showed you, and a couple of those numbers that were in discrepancy are because we've had late breaking news on some of these things. So every pledge has been counted and gone towards that, meaning that we did meet and just exceed our challenging goal for this year. So that is what we are clapping for up front here, because that was a lot of hard work and a lot of generosity on your behalf. So thank you very much for that. There are other ways in which generosity has been expressed in this parish over the past year. And I just want to talk a little bit about our trusts and endowment in general before turning it over to Sigurd Whitaker, who is going to give you more of the details of the trust's performance this year. We have a number of endowed funds that are in part of our trust, the Christ and St. Luke's Trust. And we have 3 trustees who oversee that and have been appointed, and we'll talk a little bit about them in a second. But this year, we've seen significant changes, positive changes, in that trust. Last year, we told you about the really generous gift that Carl Gainslin, who died a couple of years ago, but was a longtime member of this parish and in this choir, had left to our church in his estate. And it really was a transformational gift. It consisted of not just financial assets, but some physical assets, being farmland in North Dakota, and we had the fascinating opportunity to become the stewards of that land with the instructions from Carl to take on ownership of it and then sell it, and we then finally got the proceeds from that. Anyways, if you want more of the gnarly details on what that was like, talk to me after the meeting. But the good news is all that land has been received and sold. Every farmer who had every farmer that was farming the parcels there has chosen to buy at least one of the parcels that they were farming, and then passed on the rights to some of the others. So we were able to give the land to those who are already working it in large part, and find local people who are able to then take on the remaining parcels of land as well, and we're very proud of that. That whole process was overseen and shepherded by Stephen Taylor and Wiley Grandy, who, if you need a lawyer that is familiar with North Dakota farmland law, they could now list that on their CV. So thank you to both of them for that. The majority, not the entirety, but the majority of these funds were used to establish a new endowment, the Carl Gainslin Fund, which then the interest from that, the 4% draw that Sigurd will tell you about from the corpus, goes to support the operations of the church on an annual basis. So Carl's money is helping us every year and will be helping us every year in perpetuity to continue to meet the needs of this place. So we're very grateful for that. The second gift, significant gift that we received this year was an endowment of our music director position. So that position is now endowed, meaning not only are we able to give Kevin what he deserves as our leader in that area, but in perpetuity, we will have the resources available to hire and recruit top-notch, top-talent musicians for that role. So this is not just a good thing now, it is going to be a good thing in the future to come, and keep our music program as the shining star that it is. And that is the Brock Endowment Fund, which has will begin this year. The funds have been collected, and that will be used starting this year for salary and benefits for the music director position. So we're very grateful for that as well. The third fund that was established this year, again in a memorial fashion, was by Dr. Patricia King in honor of her love of this parish. And those of you who knew Pat would know her as being the one who sat in the back of the 8 o'clock service right over there, usually huddled up in a little coat and a hat with a mask on, and yet she was here every Sunday that she could get here. She was a devoted, faithful, loving member of this community, and she, in her memory, a fund has been established that will, again, provide in perpetuity for the operations of this church on an annual basis. And so for that, we are deeply grateful as well. And finally, I get to announce, because she didn't want to, that we've had some really significant leadership from those who are living, in particular Sigurd Whitaker, who is retiring after 22 years as serving as a trustee. She knows how this all works better than any of us, and she has said, gee, I would like to start an endowed fund that I will pay into over the course of my remaining course of my life, that will eventually go to help support other aspects of the music ministry here at Christ in St. Luke's. So for that and for many other reasons, we're going to have a chance to thank Sigurd later. But those 4 new funds come into our trust this year. They've all been established. The buckets have been built. And now we get to put them to work. The Whitaker Fund we are going to postpone for a few years, drawing anything from, so that it can build up its corpus over time. But in the future, we'll be utilizing that as well. So I wonder if we might express some gratitude to Carl, to Joan, to Pat, and to Sigurd for their incredible generosity to this parish. Thank you, Mark. So Sigurd, could I call you forward at this point to give your report on the performance of the Trust this year? And then don't go too far, because we have a little gift for you for your service. And then we'll be able to move into our question and answer period after that. So hold any questions to that point. Thank you.
On behalf of the trustees, Rod Ingram, Stephen Taylor, and Robert Jones, I'm delighted to update you on the Trust. 2025 was a watershed year for the Trust, which helps to support the operations of Christ in St. Luke's. Since its founding in December 1962, this was the most significant year for the Trust, as it nearly tripled in assets. In addition to the 4 new funds Father Noah told you about, the Trust includes 5 legacy funds: the Capital Endowment Fund, which supports capital repairs to our church facilities; the Christian Education Fund; the COT Fund, which provides short-term financial help to individuals at the discretion of the rector; the Rectory Fund, which provides below-market rate mortgages to the clergy; and the Tucker Fund, which provides funding for new initiatives. Because of the generosity of Carl Gaislen, who remembered Christ in St. Luke's in his estate, and Joan Brock, who established the Brock Music Fund to endow the director of music position, the Trust was $14,860,213, plus approximately $1 million in mortgages to Father Noah and Father Jared and their wives at December 31, 2025. Carl's estate was centered in North Carolina farmland. Stephen Taylor and Wiley Grandy worked with North Dakota attorneys to transfer and sell properties. Thankfully, as part of Carl's estate, he wished for the tenants to be given first right of refusal, and they were happy to become the owners of some of the properties they farmed. Because of Carl's generosity, a small portion of the proceeds enabled the Trust to provide monies through the Rectory Fund to pay off the first mortgage and consolidate with our second deed of trust on Father Jared and Jenny's home at a below market rate, giving them a lower monthly payment. The trust agreement was amended to provide not only for the Brock Music Fund, but also a change in the Capital Endowment Fund. The funds in the trust, with the exception of the Rectory Fund, have a proviso that the funds not used during the calendar year are to remain in the trust. We amended the Capital Endowment Fund to allow for the monies not used to remain in the trust and to be available for future needs, but not to exceed what has been accumulated. The funds are managed by the Bank of America, and we used a balanced funding approach. The target is 60% equities, i.e. stocks, and 40% fixed income, i.e. bonds. Because of the significant influx of cash as the North Dakota properties were sold, we are significantly overweight in cash at 34.5%. Equities, which are 46.3% of the trust, are primarily in U.S. large cap stocks. Fixed income holdings are slightly underweight at 19.2% of the portfolio and are concentrated in investment grade taxable bonds. Bank of America is deploying a portion of the cash 2 times monthly. The preliminary performance of the trust for 2025 reflects a strong return of 11.39% net of fees, while the 2025 Consumer Price Index has not been calculated. It ranged between 2.7% and 3% on a monthly basis through November. One of the measurements of the fund performance is the CPI plus 5%, which the trust exceeded. The range for the trust is between 7.7 and 8%. Except for the rectory fund, 4% of the funds based on the rolling 12-quarter rolling average can be distributed annually. Those funds, except for the capital endowment fund, which are not distributed during the calendar year, remain in the trust. In 2026, the trust can distribute up to $614,517 as follows. Capital Endowment Fund, $86,912. COP Fund, $22,899. Christian Ed Fund, $10,909. Tucker Fund, $4,155. Gaisland Fund, $366,000. And the Brock Fund, $123,642. In closing, I have served as a trustee for the past 22 years and made the decision it was time to retire. In December, the vestry appointed Robert Jones as my replacement. It has been an honor to serve this church, our church, in this capacity. Thank you.
Singer, come on to the middle here. We have a little gift for you here. Not only did we get you this gift, but we got you a Tar Heel victory yesterday. So those of you who know Sigurd know that she's a big Tar Heel fan, and they came out victorious over Duke yesterday. Sorry, Michelle, and others, but that probably is the best present that you could have gotten.
And see how many times I've tried to say North Carolina rather than North Dakota.
Thank you, Sigurd. Appreciate that. There you are. Please take a seat, and Maria's going to run us through, based upon now you've heard about our stewardship, you've heard about the trusts and what we can expect from it in 26. Maria is going to share with you our 2026 budget, and then we'll be ready for questions.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Sigurd. So Father Noah and I worked closely with the church staff and the finance committee over the past several months to develop a balanced budget for 2026. You can find that on page 21 of your packet. It's also being displayed here. On Sunday, January 18th, this budget was approved by the vestry. The budget totals $2,020,506 with revenues fully matching expenses. So when we look at the composition of our revenue year over year, there's a notable shift. In 2025, pledges and contributions together represented about 79% of total revenues, and in 2026, pledges and contributions represent 70% of total revenues. Still very much the foundation of our financial life, but a slightly smaller share overall. At the same time, endowment income increases from roughly 15% of revenues in 2025 to about 26% of revenues in 2026, reflecting a greater planned use of endowment resources to support ministry, as Father Noah and Sigurd just discussed. As in prior years, the largest portion of our expenses is devoted to clergy and staff compensation, including salaries, pensions, and insurance. All clergy and staff received a 3% cost of living adjustment above the 2.8 recommended by the diocese. Additionally, this year's budget includes 2 recently filled positions, our communications director and chief operating officer, as well as salary and benefits for a full-time assistant rector, which we hope to hire later in the year. This reflects our continued commitment to sustaining a strong, healthy staff who support worship, pastoral care, administration, and ministry across the parish. You will also notice continued investment in several key areas of parish life, including maintenance and repairs, ensuring that we care well for the buildings and grounds entrusted to us. Music and liturgy, which remains central to our worship and identity. Christian formation, supporting children, youth, and adult learning. Congregational care, communications, strengthening connection within our parish. And missional and diocesan commitments, affirming our responsibility beyond our own community. Some expense categories have increased compared to last year, reflecting both rising cost and intentional choices to support the growth and vitality of our ministries. As always, we will monitor expenses carefully throughout the year and remain transparent about our financial position. I'd like to take a moment to thank the members of the Finance Committee for their dedication and thoughtful work during the budgeting process and throughout the past year. Their guidance and support are invaluable to me, and I am deeply grateful for their service to this parish. If you're here, will you please stand? Margaret Enge, Michael Belka, Judy Belka, Sigurd Whitaker, Rod Ingram, Joe Painter, Peter Reeves, and our parish's business administrator, Michelle Sturgis. Thank you all so much. We are pleased to present our 2026 budget to you this morning, and we welcome any questions that you may have. And we thank you for your continued commitment to the ministry of Christ in St. Luke's.
And I would say thank you to Maria, who has worked tirelessly this year and in the last few years to serve as our treasurer in this and many others. So thank you, Maria. But since you're not going anywhere, you don't get a plant. We have time now for some questions. So if you can think for a second whether you have a question, and then raise your hand. We've got some microphones here in the middle. We have the opportunity to ask questions about anything that you've heard presented here today that may need clarification or that you're still wondering about. We're glad to take the time to do that so that you understand the position we are in as a parish. We also have the opportunity that you were alerted to in a letter I sent out about a month ago now about the work we're doing to explore the possibility of development of the empty lot over on the Bosavane side of the street, across the street, out the back side of the church here. We explained a little bit about that, and if you have questions, thoughts, or responses about that, we welcome those as well as a part of this conversation. So, anybody who would like to get us started with our questions here, Matt's got the microphones in the middle. Peggy, is that you? Right there, Matt. Peggy right next to you on your left. You need the microphone because we are live streaming it, and they need to hear what you have to say.
I would like to know what the difference is between an associate and an assistant rector.
That's a great question. Usually it has to do with experience, years of experience in the work. So that the perhaps older school model of ministry had someone being ordained and then serving initially as what they called a curate. You may have served you may have attended a parish where they had a curate. That's sort of like fresh out, learning baby priest, kind of learning how to do the role. Then you would graduate to an assistant and then to an associate before becoming, there are other things you can do, but then before becoming a rector per se. Not unlike the academic world in which one is an assistant professor and then an associate professor before becoming a full professor. That may be a model that you can map it onto a little bit. So the title assistant rector in our budget and in some of our reports is a little bit of a catch-all, and we will, depending on who the right person ends up being for that position, if they've got 10 years of experience and they've been working around town and the world for a long time, they may come in as an associate. If they're fresh out of seminary, they may come in as a curate or an assistant like that. So that just gives us flexibility to move in either direction. Great question. Oh, thank you. Other questions? Barb, up front here. Thanks, Matt.
What are the current updates about developing the property across the street?
Great question, Barb. The current updates are we are still looking into it. We want to know what's possible. I think the general summary to there was someone who couldn't come to the meeting. They said, give me the high points. I said, we have enough money, we have enough people, we don't have enough space. Those are the sort of the three things that we are working with here. So the vestry and the staff are seeking to understand what is possible within property that we already own before looking elsewhere to sort of see if there's other things we could go casting about for. But that's what we're looking at now, and we have a team here, and I will call them out, but our team from WPA, do you guys want to wave your hands? So one of the most remarkable and highly respected architectural firms in the city has deigned to work with us on this little project here. And so they've been incredibly generous and incredibly capable, no surprise. And so they are here to greet you, to meet you, and hear any other questions or responses people have to us, exploring what is possible on that lot, and then deciding whether we want to move forward with anything or not. George, question? Yeah, get the microphone first, George. Another Tar Heel fan ready to speak up here.
Yes, I had one question.
Hold the mic, George. There you go.
Some years ago, when I came here, that lot was used as I think a 4-story apartment building.
Correct.
We're going forward with church building.
Generally, we're looking at this for church purposes, not to restore the apartments on the back lot. But we are aware of that history, that there were a set of apartments back there that the church owned and chose to take down. And so now we have to decide what we want to put back in that place if we want to put anything back.
Okay, I just wanted to check.
Yeah, but generally the needs that we are finding are for programmatic space and community space, not for apartments necessarily. Good question, thank you. More questions? Really? Ed, good, come on, Ed.
It's early, but is there a consideration for a full-size, not a baby, kitchen in this new building?
We are exploring what's possible for a larger kitchen, as well as a larger gathering space for us. Many of you have noticed, as we have, that Lloyd Hall, as wonderful as it is, and as perfect as it is for a preschool classroom, does not suit all our needs for a gathering space for the whole parish. And so a gathering space where we could do things like host Norfolk Winter Shelter rather than work with another parish, to host our Christmas party there rather than rent out the Chrysler for a night. Things like that where we want to have everybody together and can't. So, and that often revolves around food, so full kitchen, yeah. Thank you. Did I see someone pointing up here? Towards the back there? Sally? Was that Sally? Who's in there? Joan, there you are. You're incognito with that hat, Joan.
I take it off, but it's a bad hair day.
Okay. The wind isn't doing anyone favors, Joan, I understand.
You have listed on the financials mission and diocesan expenses.
Yes.
I'm curious to know how much of that is for outreach.
So from that line item,
Yes.
do you have the lines here? So the question was, within the line item that says missions and diocesan assessment, how much of that is for outreach, which I'm considering is non-diocesan assessment in your definition, Joan. Yeah. So just to get everybody on the same page, we are asked by the Diocese of Southern Virginia to contribute 10% of our plate and pledge revenues every year towards their work and in support of their work. We choose, proudly so, to pay that full 10%, and so we are paying that. That means within that line item, do you have it there in front of you here?
119 is the diocesan assessments.
So it's a little over 30,000 that goes into missional programs. What that doesn't count, Joan, is anything that goes not through the operating budget. So the money that's contributed through the Kenya Angel Tree, the Tidewater Friends for Foster Care, the food that's collected at our food drive, that's all an additional to those things. And things like the COP fund, which is a discretionary fund at the rector's discretion, which can give over $20,000 a year to either organizations or individuals in need, as well as various other things along the year as well. So that doesn't capture the full picture. I will also say, based on my presentation, what I hope we're able to do is we've now, we hope, stabilized our building expenses and our staffing expenses after trying to keep pace with our growth, is that the next area I think financially for us to increase is that faith in action line item and some of those missional things. So I hope we'll be able to continue to do that in the years to come. Thank you for that question. It's a great question. Up here for Joanne.
So for the 30,000 that is for outreach, what does that go to specifically?
It goes to our Thursday lunch ministry. It goes to our Caring for Creation ministry. There's a line item that Maria is sending me here. Together for Kenya has a line item within there. We then also are one of the founding members and top supporters for Ghent Area Ministry, or GAM. That's been going on for a number of years, and that's a collective endeavor on a number of different faith communities in the immediate Ghent area, trying to find a place where we can pool resources so they can be better deployed to those who need them in the city. And then we have money towards the Ghent Pride or LGBTQ ministries. This year we'll be helping to support, we're hosting the Diocesan Pride Eucharist here on June 3rd, so we have some funds available for that. Ghent Pride, the event that we had staged a table at isn't happening, so we're deploying those funds slightly differently. And then the Urban Renewal Center, who we work closely with as well, so they get some money from all of those line items as well. Miriam.
Hello, I'm with George. I'm go back to that original plan for the Plans Cross Street, and it included a plan that showed parking on the ground floor and then going up. Do you have, I support building up and making it taller and getting as much space as you can.
Thank you, that's helpful, Muriel.
You still have those plans?
We have those plans, we have seen those plans. We are not in the same physical position we were when those plans were designed. This was an original design for those who are more recent to the parish, an original design for how we would do the renovation that we just completed, which was a separate choice. So it doesn't look exactly the same. So the plans just can't be picked up and utilized, nor would that necessarily, we think, be the most prudent choice based upon what those plans showed. But the idea of what to do with that back lot, it's certainly informing that conversation as well to say, well, what have other people thought could or should go back there? And so that's helping us as we try to think about it now.
One more question.
Sure.
Is the lawyer still actively working in the neighborhood as he was when we were with the original plan?
That I do not know.
That cost us a lot of money.
Yes, that I do not know, but our hope is that if we are to undertake anything in that area, it will not need to suffer litigation as a part of it. So, but that speaks a lot of it in terms of how we go about the process. So that's part of the reason we're trying to be transparent now before we've actually made any decisions to say, hey, we're looking into this, and you should know we're looking into this. We have some really exciting possibilities there that are starting to come to fruition, and when we have something that's actually ready to share, we will do that and give you opportunities for feedback. And before we make any decisions, we're also going to talk to the neighborhood, and we're going to talk to the city, and we're going to have them involved in this from the get-go in an effort to avoid any of those past mistakes. Corey, question, yes.
You had said during the Zoom meeting that our in-plate cash is down. Have you guys considered the intake, what we might get from R2D2?
Yeah. Yes, so part of the story behind having an electronic donation kiosk that we have rolled out, literally, for you to be able to utilize is because while most all of our financial numbers are going up, what's going down is what we call the plate receipt, like what we get in the plate each Sunday, which is a little bit sort of counterintuitive because our attendance numbers are going up. So you would think that things would be tracking similarly, but actually the opposite of that is true, which we largely credit to the fact that very few people are carrying cash anymore to church or anywhere else on a Sunday. So we're trying to keep pace with the modes of giving that are out there, Corey, and we're happy to report, I think we were talking, I guess not last week, but 2 weeks ago, since we've rolled out R2D2, who's our little friend in the back there, it's about equal to what we're collecting on a pledge in the plate on any given Sunday. So people are utilizing it. We encourage you to utilize it frequently and more. But it's also going to offer us the opportunity when we host things like concerts or other events where it is open, where we usually just put out a little wicker basket and ask people to throw in a few bucks as a goodwill offering. There's another opportunity for them to be able to do that. It'll be right next to it, and you could give that way as well. So hopefully you've found it easy to use and accessible, and we'll tell your friends. What else do we want to know? Yes, Anne, up front here, Matt. Anne's in mourning, wearing her deep Duke blue. She's in mourning.
This may be premature, but do we know what the zoning is across the street?
Do we know what the zoning is? I think we do know, and we're learning more and more about it. That's part of the reason we're doing this study, to sort of determine exactly what the zoning is.
I was just wondering what restrictions or what hoops we might have to jump through.
Do you want to answer that, or could we just talk about it afterwards? Lots of hoops. Waylon, we'll let you jump through the hoops for us.
Sure. So we started with a zoning analysis. So we're looking at our setbacks, our building height, parking requirements, all of those things. And the first step is really determining, what's the largest box that could be built and conform with zoning. And then from there, we're trying to understand the needs and shape that box. It's residential, yeah. So it would need to be rezoned. The city, what's really interesting is the first meeting with the planning department is that they're considering that lot to be part of a larger institutional campus. So the restrictions that would normally apply to a single lot will not apply, which is really interesting, especially with parking requirements. So there's some flexibility there.
So we're very grateful for that generous understanding. And yes, and to your point, it's still zoned for those apartments that were there. It has not been changed yet. But when and if we do it, we would have to need to change that zoning. But that would be part of the process, yeah. More questions, concerns, joys to share? Going once, going twice, going thrice? Well, then I will say thank you all for staying. Thank you for your questions and your engagement. If you have more thoughts that you didn't want to share in front of the group but would like to share privately, I'll hang around for a few minutes after this. I know our folks from WPA, Mel and Tom and Sharon will be here as well. So we want to thank you for all of that. Thank you to our tech folks, Matt and Jamie, who are setting up and Steve, who set up our beautiful screen here and put this all together, to Corey for helping out, and to all of you for staying. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved. Are you going to second it, David? All in favor? Thank you all very much. We will see you next week.
Before you head out, I just want to, it's off the record, so I don't know if it even counts. But this guy has so many talents. Most of you are aware of all that. And because of being senior warden for the past year, I've gotten to work closely with him in all of the wonderful challenges that we just shared with all of you. And I just wanted to remind you all of just the wonderful person that Noah is and how delightful it's been working with him. And if you could join me in thanking him for that.